Okay, guys, welcome to your Friday Edpuzzle. You're going to get points for this. So first of all, just doing the Edpuzzle itself and getting this done, I'm going to give you 40 points for your assignment, okay? But if you're able to post the notes on this or post the work you're doing, the scratch work, because you can't do a lot of these problems without actually showing your work, you're going to get extra credit. And this is actually going to bump people's grades big time. Maybe if you're in that D range up to a C, maybe to a C to a B to an A, and then even A to a higher A. All right? And I want to make sure you remember the main part of this week that we were talking about. So we're talking about the slope formula, okay? Which obviously gives us what the slope is, okay? Now, if you're struggling on what slope is, when we look at slopes, they are lines. There are lines here. There's a positive slope. Remember negative slope, okay? There's a zero slope, which is a flat line, zero. And then there's an undefined slope, which is up and down, undefined. I'll put it as a U. So positive, going up, good for business. I always say it's good for business, bad for business. There's no change happening. So if this was a business, it's not making money, but it's not losing money, okay? And then this just undefined doesn't really make any sense in a business setting. This doesn't make any kind of sense, okay? Now, the slope formula is y minus y, we've done this a bunch, over x minus x. And when we were in class, we did some easy ones. Today, I'm going to challenge you a little bit. You're going to use your calculator. I have my calculator up as well. Use your calculator. Use the Desmos calculator, okay? I think it's Desmos / scientific is if you wanted to type it in Google, it'll come up. Now, using this formula, we're going to figure out slope in many different ways. From a table, okay? I'm going to do it from a table. I'm going to do it from just giving you 2 points, and then I'm also going to draw a line and give you 2 coordinates, okay? Just so you can see it in different ways, because you're going to see this again for sure. This is freshman year, all right? So the first thing I'm going to give you, that's going to be from 2 points, okay? So we know that that's going to be from 2 points. We know what to do with these points, hopefully. We know how to set it up. I'm going to give you an x and a y and an x and a y, okay? I'm going to do all my work here. The next problem I'm going to give you is going to be from a table. Okay. And we have to examine this one and make sure we're good. And from here, we're going to decide what we're going to do with this, okay? And what we're going to do is it's eventually going to be, we're going to take 2 coordinates from there, okay? So this is problem 1, problem 2, and then problem 3, I'm going to give you a line here to draw, and I'm going to give you 2 coordinates on the line. If you can ever find 2 points on a line, you can figure out the slope, okay? Because sometimes the graph may be really large and you're not going to be able to just rise and run. You know this is a positive slope. So your answer to your fraction will be a positive fraction. You know that for sure. Okay, that's one clue you know right away. If it was A, B, C, or D, and like A and C were negatives, but B was positive, you know A and C were wrong because this is a positive slope, positive number. All right, let's dive into the first problem. Let's see how we can do with this. Very important that I see good scores on your Edpuzzle. I want to make sure you guys are getting this. No problems at all, okay? Let me see. I don't always have to go so easy on you guys. I'm going to go out and kick it up a notch, okay? We did a lot of this in class, so you should be familiar with this. First things first, let's take a look at these 2 coordinates. I already labeled them for you. You would do the same thing. If you were taking a test, I would hope that you would write these on your work. Whenever you're going to have a test, you're going to have scratch paper in front of you. You're showing your work. And again, extra credit if you post your work, okay? So let's go ahead and set up this problem. First things first, we're going to look at this problem. We're going to look at this formula. We're going to set it up. All right, I'm going to go 11 y, right, y minus 16, and then x minus x, okay? Now, if we have any trouble, we're going to do what? We're going to go straight to our calculator. At this point, if you think you're good, cool. But if you have any moment of struggling, you better go straight to your calculator. It'd be foolish not to, okay? So as we look back to our work here, we're going to go ahead and, wish I could remove this a little bit. Let me move this around. They give you all these features. Oh, here we go. I think this will work. There we go. I don't need all these features. Now, what I want to do is move this over here. So what I'm going to do is plug this in. So it was 11 minus 16, and I get -5. The main thing I want to make sure you use the calculator for is don't mess up if it's a negative, all right? Like if you got +5 and you think you're good, you're wrong. It's not +5. So -5. And the other one was actually pretty simple. You wouldn't need to use a calculator for the other one. It's 5 minus 3. You know 3 take away 5 is going to be 2. Now, if you look at this, you're looking at an odd number and an even number. You can't reduce this fraction. You can't put 2 into 5. It's not going to reduce. You could give me a decimal, and that's great. And a lot of people do end up giving me those answers. So let's just talk about that. The answer was -5 over 2. So let me clear all this. Somebody may do -5 divided by 2, and that's what the fraction does look like. Let's go back to this. That's what it looks like. Even though I put the negative on the numerator, which is where it belongs, when you look at it on a calculator, it puts it over here. And then look at it. It's -2.5. So it's going down 2.5. 2.5, okay? This is not wrong, but this is the way we look at slopes, because we can graph these slopes much easier if we do it this way. All right, so great answer there. Cool. Now let's go ahead and get into the next level, which is going to be a table. All right. Give me a second. All right. And let's go ahead and go and fill in our table. Again, you're getting credit for this. Don't be lazy on me. All right. Easy credit, easy points. Let's go. So if we're going to go ahead and tackle this problem, and it says, if it just says find the slope, okay, you're just going to do the first part. But if it said write out the equation, what if it said find the slope and y-intercept? If you forget what that is, remember y equals mx plus b. The m is the slope, the b is the y-intercept. So they would say find the whole equation, really. We're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and find the slope first, and then we're going to jump into actually getting the whole entire equation, because I still think we're struggling a little bit with reviewing the y-intercept part, which is no problem. We're going to constantly do this in the next 3 weeks. We're going to make sure you have a great idea. You're not leaving 8th grade going into freshman year without having a good understanding of how to do this. So first steps first, I'm just going to write out, everything's going to boil down to always going to this point here where I'm writing out 2 coordinates, okay? X, Y, X, Y. Once I have my 2 coordinates, then we can tackle more challenging problems. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into this. We're going to go 1, 3. That's my first coordinate, and then 2, 8. And then let's go ahead and plug it into our formula. Remember, it's y minus y. I'm going to go do it down here. Y minus y, 3 minus 8, and then 1 minus 2. And I'm going to get -5 over -1. If you struggled, use your calculator, all right? So -5 over -1, which is actually going to equal +5. When you have 2 negatives, it's going to equal positive. So if this was a multiple choice assessment or quiz, you already have half your answer. You know right away, where should I write the equation? I'm going to write the equation right here. I'm going to write y equals, you already know, 5x. Okay, but you're still looking for your y-intercept. Where does it touch the y? Now, the best way you can look at this, I really need you guys to understand the concept, the conceptual part of this. When you look at this kind of formula, when you look at an equation, when you look at this, you know this is a slope. You just figured out the slope. What does this x and y have to do with anything? Where have I seen x's and y's before? X and y, x and y. So what you can do is take any coordinate you want and go ahead and plug it in. I'm going to take the first coordinate where 1 is x, 3 is y. What's x? 1. What's 3? Y. So 1 is x, 3 is y. Did you guys just see what I did? I plugged in my point. We did this a lot in August and September. We got to get our brain back. Now we're going to read the sentence. This is like language arts now. We're going to read this sentence. Does 3 equal 5? Does 3 equal 5? No. Marusik, I don't get what you're saying. Of course it doesn't. What do we want to do? We want to get to a point where we have 3 equals 3. What do we have to change to that 5? What do we have to do to that 5 to make it happen? In order to change that 5, does it have to go up or down? And we realize that 5 has to go down to 3. How do we get a 5 down to 3? Well, you can subtract 2. And if you're not sure this is your final answer, if you're not sure that this is your final answer, you can go ahead and start plugging in the other coordinates. What if I plugged in 2 and 8? Where would the 2 go? Remember, 2 is the x. 5 times 2 is 10. But y is supposed to be 8. How do I get to there? 10 minus 2 is 8. What about 3? 5 times 3 is 15. 15 minus 2 is 13. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 minus 2 is 18. Okay? This part is super important that you can get to that point. All right? The slopes are great, and there's going to be a lot of questions comparing slopes, but there's going to be times where it wants the slope and the y-intercept. Okay? All right. Great job, guys. Let's keep it going. Last one. I'm going to give you some points. So I'm going to say this is over 3 up 5. Okay. We'll say this is over up 7 over 7. All right. Now, this is all you see on your graph. There's no like lines to count. There's nothing to look at. And sometimes they're going to give you even bigger numbers. We already know, remember we did our work here? We already know our slope is going to be positive. So eventually I'll put our slope in here. So why don't we just go ahead and find the slope first? How do you find the slope? You have 2 coordinates. How do you find the slope? Could you go back to the first one we did? All right. Or even the second one. Why don't you go ahead and find the slope for me? We should be pros at this now by now. We should be pros. And what do I get? Use your calculator. -2 over -2. You should know 2 over 2 is 1 whole, right? 3 over 3 is 1. 4 over 4 is 1. But 2 negatives makes it 1. Why did I write a fraction here? Because is it 1 over 1? Isn't that technically the slope? Rising 1, running 1. Okay, cool. So my first step here is y equals, we'll put it at the very bottom, y equals 1x. Now what? Remember what I want? What do I want? I want to know what my y-intercept is. Can I choose any coordinate I want? Sure. Let's go. Let's go. Let's choose 3. If I choose 3 here, well, hold on here. 1 second, and this is supposed to be 5. Let me pause this out 1 second. All right. So Mr. Marusik was doing this too quick. Where's the mistake? All right. Where's the mistake that just happened? Number 3 has a mistake. Now, let's go ahead and cross all this out. There is a mistake in this problem. Where is it? Can you find it? This is not your answer. You did not get this wrong, but there is a mistake you're going to have to find. Where is it? 5 minus 7 is -2. That's great. 3 minus 7. What are you thinking, Marusik? 3 minus 7? -4. -4. So -2 over 4 over -4 is going to break down to equal 1/2. Okay? And that's going to be your slope. I'm going to let you stop there. We're not going to figure out the whole y-intercept because I made that mistake. It's all good. I really want to make sure you get the idea, though, that find the slope and then plug in points, and you can always find your y-intercept. Let's do one more. We're about done. Let's do one more. Number 4. If I said, and you had to find the y-intercept, okay? And these are your points. This is your x and y. if I said this is, all right, and then I said this is, what is your y-intercept going to be? Let's get this concept. What are you going to do? You can choose any coordinate you want. I'm going to choose 3 and 10. Remember, 3 and 10. 3 is my x, 10 is my y. Where does 3 go? Where the x is. Where does 10 go? Where my y is. 4 times 3 is 12. Does 10 equal 12? 10 does not equal 12. We want 10 to equal 10, right? So what are we going to do? How do we get it down? We're going to subtract it by 2. It's not always going to be that easy. It's not always minus 2. I know the other one was minus 2 as well. What about 4? What's 4 times 4? 16. 4 times 4 is 16, but we're supposed to be 14. Subtract 2. All right. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday and Tuesday.